Welcome to the Good Rookies podcast. My name's Faheem.
My name is Nelly J, y'all, and we are Good Rookies.
That's right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday to you all. And folks, this is episode 31.
3-1.
We in the 30s. Dab that. Anyways, y'all, I'm excited because our guest today, this is one of my brethrens, okay, that I grew up with. And he's also a returning guest as well. So expect straight fire. Faheem, please introduce who we got.
All right. Well, Nelly J, you just stole my thunder. I was just going to say he's a returning guest, and he always spits hot fire. So, but we have co-host of the Bootcut podcast.
Woo!
Let's welcome Darrell Coleman to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Darrell.
I feel like I should be like running through the tunnel.
You should be, man.
I know, right? I know.
Listen, we got to find our energy somehow because, we're all stuck at home. Ontario's going to a third wave now of the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So we got to just make it work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Darrell, so you co-host with my homegirl TK on the Bootcut podcast.
Yep.
Please tell the people them about the podcast and what kind of topics you guys cover.
So we talk mostly about relationships and healthy relationships and sex. We talk about arguments. We talk about how to recover. Talk about being in the doghouse and how to get out. We talk about everything, and we are no holds bar. We're all the way 100. There's no edits. There's no stop and do that over. We're all the way raw, and TK and I have a great...
Pun intended? Sorry.
Pun intended.
Is it all the way raw? I'm like, is that pun intended or what?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't take that back. Like, it came out. It's just there now. Like, it is what it is. You deal with that. But no, we have a great chemistry and working on season 2.
Awesome. And any dates on when that will come out? Do you guys know yet, or it's a summertime thing? Summertime.
We mulled it over, but I can't give you an official date, so I'm gonna just say summertime.
Summertime. Well, y'all make sure you'll check out the Bootcut podcast. We're gonna have their link, how to subscribe, how to like, all that. Support the Black creators, y'all. Big up Bootcut.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
All right, y'all. So Faheem.
All right. So March Madness is starting right underway right now. So before we get in, are you guys down for March Madness?
Go ahead, Darrell. You're like...
So you know what? Yes, yes, I am.
Okay.
but if I'm being all the way transparent, like, I haven't followed like I usually do, and
right.
I don't know why. Is it just me, or is it like not on the way?
No, it's not just you, and that's why I just actually figured I'd just start with that, because that's kind of where my head frame is right now. I'm just not, it's not what. Anyway, maybe we can, through this conversation, we can work into what's changed. But
right.
Nelly J, how about you?
I feel like it's just a weird year, you know what I mean, when it comes to what happened in 2020, all the social injustice, the protests, and a lot of those guys that were protesting were all in college, university. They were all younger guys, and I don't think their head was ready to play this year. And when it comes to college basketball, the whole summer is to train. Then you got your preseason reps, you got your exhibition games, you got your closed scrimmages. That didn't happen because of COVID. Right. So I just think that, for me, I wasn't hyped up for college ball like I normally are, because the rookies were like, okay, who's coming from high school? Who are these guys? Like, it was all kind of newbies coming in. And I feel like most of the guys that are in college now are trying to be the NBA. So a lot of them come from last year already left for NBA. So it's kind of like a weird transitional year for the NCAA.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's like, it's tricky because just like football and I think the NBA, they didn't get their full preseasons or preseason at all. So I feel like it's hard for me to go and watch NCAA now with shortened seasons and then some teams are in, some teams aren't, and really be as excited for March Madness. But I am excited now that it's the tournament. Man, this is a very thick. There's no short answer for this. Like, there's so many layers to why I feel the way I do. And then Nelly also talked about a component for me that has changed. Like, I am having a hard time with a lot of these guys not rocking with the HBCUs yet. So like the other part for me is like,
Right.
Yeah, like I like it. It's competition at a very high level, but at the same time, like, are we still doing this? Like,
right.
might be
It's
time
true.
to make that jump.
It's
So
true.
I think my take is maybe a little bit different. I'm approaching it from an angle of, for me, so NCAA, that was always the passageway to the NBA, whether you're a one and done. But during the tournament, there's usually that 1, 2, maybe 3, if not projected, not generational talent, but like star.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm finding right now I'm not seeing any player that I'm seeing next year in the league is going to make a splash in the league. And I think times have really changed when we're talking about like high school players that, for instance, LaMelo Ball went to Australia. You know, like right now the NCAA brand is dismantled in regards to like
It's dropping,
players feeling like they you know, they're being owned. They don't get to own their likeness. Like the NCAA brand to play in the NCAA in 2021, there's the fabric's changed, and right now there's like I'm just really not impressed, to be honest.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because as we jump into it, Kentucky, I think, lost 2 players to the G League. And that's why they're not even, you know what I mean? And I think a couple of Duke player, one of their star players, 5-star recruit, he's like, I'm injured, but I'm going to get ready for the NBA. So bye. So it's not even that. I think a lot of these players are like, why play for free? Like, I'm a good talent. And I don't blame them. Like, if you're a talented young man, why play for free? Period.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the first time since 1973 where Duke or Kentucky are not in the NCAA tournament.
Together. You mean together? Because Duke last time was 1995, but I think they say like the last time Duke and Kentucky both missed it.
Both together,
70s.
right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Together, the first time that we haven't had that, and when you have like those are 2 powerhouses, right? And those are schools that are very easily people like kids want to go there. Recruiting for them is not hard, right? So I mean,
the Duke to me should have made it. Actually, I will say that because they got snubbed. So what happened was that Duke had a winning record and they had to win this last tournament. I believe last week, or 2 weeks ago. And what happened is that they won the first 2 rounds and they made it to the quarterfinals. But because one of their players got sick with COVID, they had to leave the tournament. And so the committee was like, they can join us, but so the committee decided Duke's fate.
But can I say something though? So that means if Duke leaves it in the hands of the committee, that means that wouldn't they be on the bubble to begin with? Like
they were. So like, so they're the bubble that if they won that tournament, they would have automatically qualified for the March Madness. But because they had to resign due to a player getting COVID, they had to withdraw. Whereas Duke had a winning record. My thing is that Kentucky was garbage, but Duke still could have made it if the committee was like, they're Duke, and the last month they were getting better. They were projected to do better. So why not give them a chance? Whereas Kentucky was just trash all year. They were not doing anything. So my thing is that if I was in the committee, because it's Coach K, I love me some Coach K, give him a bye, right? It's 1 year. But I guess they were like, nope, we don't want to do that.
But that wasn't a choice. Like them not being, if someone gets COVID, they have to go.
Yeah, they have to go. Yeah, it wasn't their choice. It was the tournament's choice. They decided what to do with the team. So they say.
So, but you have someone like a team like Michigan, who I know Levers was one of their most prominent players, and he went down with an injury. So you mean one of your best players can have an injury and you get to move on, but if you have COVID, and I guess I understand as I'm speaking, I'm walking myself through the process. I understand it because COVID, if one player has it, then you run the risk of
it's
marching
a
on this
protocol
bubble and spreading it. I get it. Okay, that's right.
They don't want me no more Rudy Gobert. They're like, I think Rudy for everyone. Once you have one player on your team, they're like, nope, we ain't risking it for nobody.
That was so reckless. That was so reckless.
No, but I think that happened. Like if we watch what he did, he was touching up all the things because he was sick, and I'm like, this fool. Anyway.
So about LeBron James, can we give it up for LeBron James?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's now
James
adding to his business portfolio, and adding the Boston Red Sox, a traditional, original baseball team, to his portfolio. Being a minority owner, nonetheless, he's still in ownership in baseball.
Yep.
Boston Red Sox, it's a big team. It's a big team, big franchise.
Yeah, they're probably like right behind the Yankees in terms of baseball relevancy, right? In consistency, but I think one of my favorite things about, I don't know if this question is coming, but one of my favorite things about the GOAT debate, like when you talk about the NBA greatest of all time or the greatest athlete of all time, he's 100% in the conversation. And whether you agree or not, he's in the conversation. For greatest athlete of all time, like just an athlete, we're talking about someone who we think can play a pro sport and be a Pro Bowl football player, or maybe I just wouldn't put it past him to succeed in maybe baseball too, or succeed in he's just that guy, right? I think that the thing we never talk about is how, I will say, perfect he's been off the court. Like the moves he makes, how he makes them. He's managed to keep his nose clean. He's invested in other things. Like I heard he dropped McDonald's and invested in Blaze Pizza.
Yes, he did.
So this is a real thing. So he dropped McDonald's, and McDonald's was like 10 plus. I'll say it was 10 plus million he dropped, and jumps on Blaze Pizza. And it's like, bro, what? Like, who drops McDonald's? Like, this is like what every young athlete hopes, I hope McDonald's, right. You don't do that. And then also he, there was a thing with Apple when Apple bought out Beats by Dre, or paid out Beats by Dre.
Yes.
And then I think he made like, I don't know, 700 or 600 million, something crazy like that. Like this guy's moves,
he's a businessman.
Off the court, they are very close to as good as the moves he's made on the court. And in the investment world, I think people are looking at this guy like, he's making real moves. He's putting himself in position to do all the things he's saying, I want to do when I'm done. Forget the fact that we've seen him be perfect for 18 years on the court. 18 years, LeBron's been in the top 3 for 18 seasons. Straight. Like, we've always, from high school, he comes in and we're like,
from high school
are there 5 guys better than this guy? He just got here, For 18 seasons, we've seen him be in that conversation. And then the Red Sox, is this something people even saw coming? Like he's talked about owning an NBA team.
Yeah.
Right.
But did we see just jumping on the Red Sox? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it's funny, right? Because I think Fenway Management, hold up, I think it's Fenway. So they're the company that he's going to be working with.
Yeah, Fenway Sports Group, right?
Yeah, Sports Group. So those are the guys who pretty much own, Fenway. I think Fenway is the owner of Red Sox anyway. So, which is
just
really
add
cool.
to what you're saying, Nelly J. They're also part
Liverpool?
owners. Liverpool
Yes.
also,
Yep.
and that's
Yep.
how that's obviously
the
how
connection.
that's a connection. He's
Yep.
he's part of Stu Fenway, part owner of Liverpool, and because of that, he got in with the Red Sox.
The
But go
Red
ahead, Nelly
Sox.
J. Yeah.
So what's funny though, so this is a flip side, right? I think if you're black, you're happy for this move. You're like, yes, King James doing it again, doing ownership. And if you look at the movements, I would say most superstars now are making investment movements. These stars today aren't like the stars from back in the day. Back in the day, most after they were getting bankrupt, they were doing drugs and all this stuff. The guys today are investing in their money.
Yeah.
But however, the flip side though is that some Boston fans aren't happy.
Okay.
Because LeBron has been their rival in basketball. He played in Miami,
Right.
rival.
Right.
He played in Cleveland, rival.
Yeah.
He cheered for the Yankees, rival. He also happy for Dodgers, rival. So they're like, yo, so I forgot what his name is. I think it's Hannessy or Shaughnessy. He's like a huge Boston reporter. He was like, how can they allow this to happen? Because to them, LeBron was never a Boston fan or supporter. He never liked Boston team because he played against the team. So in their head, there's an enemy amidst our ownership, which is kind of crazy, right? So that's the flip side. On the opposite end, though, the MLB needs help. Guys, their number has been plummeting. You don't see as many baseball fans growing up. How many kids want to play baseball nowadays? How many kids want to pursue baseball careers? Baseball is a dying sport when it comes to money making. The NBA has kind of sped past every single person, and the NBA league is on a whole island by itself. So the MLB was like, first of all, it's LeBron James. We need more fans, and unfortunately more kids now today are minorities. They're not like they're black and brown, they're people of color kids. So we need to make more money because LeBron will bring us money. So the flip side, LeBron will bring us more money, but our fans think that we're betraying them because LeBron has kind of played against our own team. So it's kind of interesting right now how Boston's reacting to LeBron's ownership or part ownership of the Red Sox.
So two parts to that. First, what you're saying about LeBron and the Boston reporter and hating on him.
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of, keep in mind, Sacramento Kings and the LA Lakers back in the day when Chris Webber played in Sacramento, Vlade Divac played in Sacramento. They had playoff series, and Shaq called Sacramento the Sacramento Queens, if you remember that. Like he threw open shade toward them.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, Shaq ended up purchasing some of the Sacramento Kings.
Yep.
So it would be, to me, that reminds me very much the same, where you have somebody just to actually give that extra dig that your ownership is someone who you've had a problem with in the past. Second part to what you're saying, Nelly J, in regards to baseball and needing that injection of LeBron James. So I got something for you. What percentage of Major League Baseball do you think on opening day last year was black?
What do you mean, like fans or players?
No, like players. How many players in Major League Baseball were black last year opening day?
I would say like 70%. Maybe 70%.
I would say 60, 60, 70.
8.
Yeah, people of color.
8% of a 30-man roster.
8% is black?
Yeah.
That's their problem.
So, now what Major League Baseball has done is they've actually very recently have a sponsorship where what they're doing is they're going to churches, believe it or not, and they actually are forming partnership with Baptist churches in Philadelphia, Richmond, Oklahoma City, and Charleston, South Carolina. And what they're doing is they're using the church to try and is an outreach to get young black players to, from a grassroots stance to get into baseball. But what a problem they're having is baseball is an expensive sport. It's kind of like hockey's expensive.
Hockey, similar. I'm like, remember hockey? The NHL did the same thing this year. Remember they're trying to recruit more people of color because even hockey needs more black players too. That's interesting how they're doing baseball as well. I didn't know that.
And with baseball, they have so you could do house league baseball, right? But to get to the next level, you need to get that extra. You need to play travel baseball.
Yeah.
Take a guess how much US it is to play travel baseball.
A year?
Yeah.
It's like 4 or 5, something like that.
5K, you're saying?
Yeah.
Give out?
3,000 a year.
Oh, okay.
Now,
And then
keep
there's
in mind,
camps. There's like
right.
the camps you go to get exposure to.
Right. Right. So let's think about this though. Like, there's a socioeconomic status of this also. And if, in some of these places where they're looking to recruit, honestly, baseball may not be their kid's most popular or first option, right?
It's
So they
not.
got some hurdles. So, I mean, I don't think LeBron James owning a piece of Red Sox is going to change this at all.
No. I agree.
But I'm very much into when it comes to when we talk buy black. If it's about buying black, that money has to be recycled back into the community, or else you might then you might as well just buy whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like so. I am happy that LeBron, as much as he's an owner of the Red Sox, his resume is saying that he's got. Hopefully, he'll have an agenda to maybe do something more than just own the team. Go ahead, Darrell. Looks like you want to say something.
You know what? I feel like there's another piece though that, and I'm trying to think it through before I say it. If baseball's struggling and it's 8% black, are we saying it's struggling because it's 8% black?
Yes.
Or are we just saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Are we just saying coincidentally it's struggling? It happens to be 8% black. Basketball is, I don't know what percent, 98%.
It's about 80%, 98.
and it's booming. They're getting more money. They're getting more sponsorship. There's more things in the works. If we look at football, I don't know what percentage we would put on that, but
probably like 95.
it's also doing really well. So are we saying that in order to get baseball
and hockey, yeah, both of them, they're both struggling.
Yeah, are we saying in order to get them back to relevancy,
back to the black,
we gotta
they have to
more black guys playing?
No, they have to.
Yeah, but is it because of are we talking about the quality of the game, or are we talking about just interest? Like
interest.
I think also the quality too, but I feel like interest, we make everything so swaggy, man. Like we make it so exciting.
Lit.
Yeah. When we saw Bautista do the bat flip, it was like, if I ask you what the score was in the game, he hits a home run. I think it was a 2-run shot. I can't remember the exact score.
Yeah.
But I will remember the moment forever because that's swag. That's, I don't care. Like we do what we do, and like no one does it like us. So
yeah.
Yep.
I feel like it is important, and then also Faheem, I want to say, I rate LeBron's ability in that area so high that I feel like he's capable, without playing baseball. He's capable of saying, like, we're gonna start an inner city outreach program.
Right.
LeBron could start his own baseball farm team.
Of course.
And like just change this whole thing. Like he's
he's that powerful, man.
Yeah, like they are capable of anything.
And that's what I'm hoping. Like I'm hoping this story doesn't stop at him being an owner, a minority owner of the Red Sox. Right. I'd like to hear more. That's what I'm saying.
Save the sport. I actually hope I can push my son to baseball. But again, it's like Nelly said, it's kind of a dying game.
Game.
No,
like I
who
really
knows what it would be like in.
I want to play baseball, auntie. My nephews want to play soccer. They want to play basketball. Like that's I don't know what it is about basketball and soccer, but those sports, these kids love those sports. But baseball, it's artistry, and I feel like that the era of baseball when it came out, I feel like that it's changed so much. You know what I mean? And it could be how they market it. It could be just how the game is looked upon on TV. It could be they need more entertainment. But one thing about the Red Sox that I want to add for you, Faheem and Darrell, is that they were the last franchise to hire a black player. And so their old owner has had was known as a bigot. Jackie Robinson called him a bigot, most bigoted owner ever. He wasn't a fan of him. And so they have a stigma towards racism in their ownership group. So LeBron is also adding, him being joined to that team is also symbolic, saying that we had an ownership group that was racist, and now we have a black part owner. It's huge, right?
Okay.
So the different layers here that LeBron is doing that is just silently like going to make a big change, I think, in baseball.
So let's see what happens with that. You were mentioning about marketing. The Utah Jazz. I don't know if you heard what happened with, there's a Twitter map. You know how they do with, they have the map of the United States.
Yes.
It has just different states and what they think. In this case, this Twitter map showed at the mid-season point, they asked, who's do you think's the favorite to win the NBA title?
Right.
And on the map, the Jazz are getting a lot more love than ever. Like, especially like looking at this map, the Jazz are doing pretty good. They're actually getting some respect somewhat at the mid-season.
Is this all NBA? Is this like Western Conference only, or just?
Oh yeah, this is both East
both?
and
Okay.
West. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I'm throwing it to you. The Jazz, are you like they have the best record in the NBA? Are you a believer?
So I didn't know that. I didn't know they had the best record in the NBA.
Yeah, right now they're number one in NBA.
But not. I knew they were up there. I would have given them top 3 in the West, but no. So I do. I like their team. I like their. They have a good defensive system, but they don't have a lockdown wing player. So what that means for me is, like, when you play LeBron, do you have a LeBron stopper? And usually when LeBron was in the East, different teams would bring in different guys to be the LeBron stopper, try and slow him down as best as you can.
Right.
I don't think they have that, but I like their roster, like, maybe all the way top to bottom. However, there's still the Lakers when Anthony Davis comes back.
Right.
I still think the Clippers are going to be tough to beat in 7 games. I still think Denver keeps playing with the chip on their shoulder, like they have something to prove every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the West, there's still sleepers like Phoenix. There's still sleepers like, those teams are really. Phoenix to me is on the cusp of losing Booker if they don't figure something out. Like, if they don't find a way to convince him that we can actually compete, he might not waste all of his years there. And then I'm not big on them, but Portland, I think, is also a really good team.
Yeah.
So Darrell, let me ask you about the Jazz. So the Jazz, they've had the most impressive winning streak so far.
Yeah.
Up to the midseason, they're like the most impressive team, right? Does Utah's past have anything to do? I'm talking the past in regards to their brand. Does their past have anything to do with the fact? Let me change my question. Hold on. Here we go. Do you see them as a contender?
That's a very long pause.
No, but you know what?
Because they're really, at this point, there really should be no reason why you shouldn't see them as a contender, due to the fact that they've had the longest winning streak at the All-Star. They have 3 All-Stars, like Conley, Mitchell and Gobert. Like, I mean, like, there should be no reason. Go ahead.
You know what? I just don't think, like, to me, right? Remember, there's regular season, there's playoff ball, right?
Okay.
A lot of teams look good in the regular season, and it's fancy and they look great. I'm not a believer. Like, Utah has given me no reason to make them a contender. I'm sorry. I just think, listen, winning games during a COVID protocol season, LeBron has been playing by himself for a lot of games. It's an off, weird season. So my thing is that being number 1 right now is weird for me because not everyone's healthy. And I've seen enough teams miss star players, like, for example, the Raptors. They didn't have anyone, and they still have to play good teams. So I'm just not convinced yet because of this protocols, and some players can't play. And is AD really injured, or is he kind of resting for the playoffs? I think there's a lot of conspiracy happening right now in the NBA. But my thing, right, is the thing, right? The top 6 offensive teams in the NBA are Brooklyn, Utah, Denver, Clippers, Milwaukee, and Portland. Okay. And I think in a playoff setting, I really think the Clippers can take Utah. Denver can take Utah. However, I think
The
with
Lakers.
Utah, pardon me,
The Lakers.
Portland, it'll be tough. But I think Utah, right? I think for me is that I haven't seen them in a pressured situation where they've actually been able to pull it off. So that's my thing, right? It's like playing with no pressure on your back is easier than playing in a pressured playoff setting. And I think like Denver, Clippers, Portland have more playoff experience than Utah does. However, they look great, like Milwaukee does last year. Milwaukee looked great, but then they still lose. So to me, Utah is the Milwaukee of the West. That's my thought.
Okay, just saying. Just last thing, they went 7 games with Denver last year, so it's not like not like they were like. We're talking about Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, who's like Defensive Player of the Year. Mike Conley Jr., who's a veteran
Great
NBA
shooter.
guard. They have Jordan Clarkson. He's gonna win Sixth Man of the Year. Like I'm talking,
he's balling this year. Clarkson.
Bogdanovich. Like I'm talking. This is a balanced team. I can't believe I'm going to bat for Utah, and then I'm not going to bat for Utah to say they're championship material. What I am going to bat to say is, let's put the biases that even myself may have in regards to what we thought of Utah or what we think of Utah, and just put a little bit of respect on the name, because I feel like being in the West and where they are, they kind of remind me of the Raptors of the East, where the Raptors would do our thing, we would get no respect for the same reasons you're talking about, our past history and all this other stuff. And
but Raptors have. This is the thing, right? With Utah, I'm not saying like they can't be a contender. I'm just saying that they haven't proven to me that they can be. Like Milwaukee to me is not a contender for me either. And so I'm inconsistent. I'm not saying that they're not. Like to me, Brooklyn, the Lakers, the Clippers, those are my contenders for the championship. Right. Everyone else, I'm just like whatever. Until and even Miami, I'll put in a contendership as well.
Yeah.
But Milwaukee and Utah, they're good regular season teams. My thing is that I haven't seen anything in the playoffs.
They need to prove it. That's fair.
That's all I'm trying to say.
That's fair.
How about you, Darrell?
I feel like it's valid on both sides. Like, it is time to respect their team, their brand, so to speak. They do have some dogs on the team now, and I think that's always been the issue. And you brought up the Raptors. The Raptors' issue for me for years has been exactly that. When it comes down to it, we're talking about you got to beat this team 4 times. So if DeRozan is our guy and we bench him in the 4th quarter, he's not a dog anymore. He's just a good player, right? Who has a great regular season. But in the playoffs, when I scheme for you, because in the regular season, coaching doesn't work like, I need to win this game. Coaching works like, I need to perfect this system. This game is going to help us compete, and I want to compete. But, like, I don't need to win this game. I need us to perfect what we're doing so that come playoffs, we're at peak, like, performance in our system, that we don't even think about this. The ball moves the way it's supposed to. The defensive schemes move like this. The rotation is like this. So in the playoffs, though, when I see you, I'm saying, like, all right, so we have all of these things down packed. We don't need to spend any time on that. What we do need to focus on is Donovan Mitchell likes to set up right side of the court, and he goes pick and roll or pick and pop with Bogdanovich, and this is how we're going to play it. When he's trapped, this is the pass he makes, right? So when I scheme for you, is Bogdanovich still a threat? Is Clarkson still a threat when I scheme for you? I don't know about that. Like, these are good players, but can you beat me when I actually say Donovan Mitchell's going to get his? Yeah. Right? And if you're smart, you'll say, like, all right, let's not try and take him out of the game. But I'm not letting Bogdanovich go off. I'm not letting Jordan Clarkson or Mike Conley Jr. go off. That's not going to happen.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. That's fair enough.
I can't subscribe to it. Can you pick these guys over LeBron? I don't know.
No. I'm not going there. Well, my initial question
put
was,
respect on
are
the
they
name.
a contender? And I think, like, for what they've proven.
Second round.
let's give them some respect. That's all.
You know what? I think.
And what we'll
go
do to
ahead.
give them a little bit more respect is let's go to for the culture.
Yes. No, like I really think the issue is that they're in Utah. Anyway, so Utah's an L for me. I'm sorry. All right, y'all. So for the culture, okay, we're at to highlight individuals and groups for the culture. And folks, we want to highlight a Utah Jazz player because on the court, he's their number one, Donovan Mitchell. But off the court, Donovan has been doing the work. You guys saw, he played for Louisville, where Breonna Taylor was murdered in her sleep, and he rocks with that. He's been talking about social injustices, donating tons of money to his old high school. He's pledged $12 million to Greenwich Country Day, where his mom taught and where he went to school himself.
Wow.
Yeah, $12 million. On top of that, if you guys even look up what he's done, again, according to NBA.com, he's also donating money to the Granite School District in Utah. His Adidas Dawn issue number 2 sneakers. A portion of that money is going to people of color at Louisville University. Teachers are getting some of the cut from his sales for his sneakers. And he's also giving money to Jacob Blake's children, okay, who was shot and killed by police in Wisconsin. So he's just doing so many amazing things. He has programs running in and out of the Bronx, Connecticut, Utah, you name it. And so we want to kind of highlight him because you know what? When it comes to having players like LeBron who leads off the court, Donovan has to be in there as well because he's been doing a lot. And I don't think he gets his flowers from the media for what he does off the court. So Darrell, were you aware of what he's been up to? Like, did you know about all these things that he's been doing?
Some of them I did know. I did know about the Louisville and the Breonna Taylor Connect. I didn't know about everything else. And like you mentioned, it might have to do with his market and the way he is presented to us sometimes, or the way Utah is pushed to us. I think sometimes we miss out on some of those things, but respect to him, man. He's always seemed like a really locked in individual. Like what he's focused on. And I know that he sat down with it was him,
Kamala Harris.
Yes, I know that a couple of those guys did sit down and talk about some policy and really important social injustices with her. So I know that he's always been that kind of guy, and respect to him. I hope that like maybe Dame is a good example. He's in Portland. It might not be a huge market, and he's not trying to run. He's not running from the grind. I hope that he stays because we can't have everybody in LA
or New York.
Yeah, so we need to spread some of that energy and that focus. So I love that. Is he does he get is it man of the year or
Yeah, so he won so the NBA Cares, so the award was called off-season NBA Cares Community Assistant Award. And what's funny, to add to what you said, he was drafted 13th pick overall, right, in 2017. He was drafted to Denver Nuggets. Imagine if Denver kept him.
Ironic.
And they had our boy from Kitchener and him together. Imagine that.
Who did they trade him for? Do you know?
Two players that Denver had was traded in a pick. But man, Denver, y'all messed up, dog. If they kept Donovan with our boy Jamal.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think they have a problem because they both play the exact same position. They're the exact same player.
I know, but they could have at least done like a small forward. Come on, they could have made it work for him. They could have made it work.
Oh, yeah. True.
Come on.
Well,
Donovan Mitchell and Jamal with a good point guard, they're good. You don't need to have.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So
I would let Jamal play the one.
Me too.
That was his natural position in college at Kentucky too, right? So yeah, good call, Darrell. So that's for the culture. I just want to make sure that Donovan Mitchell, as much as he's not getting much respect on the court, that we're at least highlighting him, giving
him respect him on the court.
Off the court.
Come on, Faheem. Don't do that.
All right. So let's go to That's
That's
Absurd.
absurd for him, bro. What was absurd this week? Again, I think of the top 5 absurd for me, buddy. Top
Well,
5.
yeah. Let's see. So Patrick Ewing, he's the coach of Georgetown Hoyas. And they played at Madison Square Garden for a tournament for playing number 1 seed Villanova.
Yes.
Now, nothing absurd about that. Big up to Patrick Ewing, of course, being the coach. But unfortunately, this is a quote from Patrick Ewing. I thought this was my building, quote unquote. And then he says, I feel terrible that I'm getting stopped, accosted, asked for passes. Everybody in this building should know who the hell I am. I'm getting stopped. I can't move around this building. I'm like, what the hell? Is this Madison Square Garden? Absurd.
Absurd. Darrell, go on, brother. Go on.
I mean, salute to Patrick Ewing. I think they won that game too.
Yes, they did.
I don't know if any of you have done your brackets yet, but they're not a bad team to pick to go the distance. They have some real dogs on that team, and they're playing for someone who's like very fired up in general. So just a hard team to pick against. But New York, the Knicks specifically, not New York the city, but the Knicks are the epitome of like a shit show in how they're run. Only I'll say I like what they're doing this year. I like the roster. I like the energy. I'll say that. I don't love the roster, but I do think they have some players and they have some future. But their organization is not an organization anymore that anybody feels like I want to be a part of the Knicks, or that novelty is gone.
Yeah, the fact that Kyrie and KD passed and they went across the bridge to Brooklyn, that speaks to your point.
Well, there's been free agents before them. There's been, I think LeBron could have gone there when he, you know, that
Kawhi could have gone there too. Kawhi could have gone there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think he did. I think Kawhi did visit, right?
Yeah, he spoke to them a little bit.
Right. So the novelty of the Knicks is out. Like, it's gone. Patrick Ewing speaking on it as candidly as he did, to me, is important because it was Oakley before, who's always been seen as some kind of like, you know, shit disturber or whatever. Spike Lee had his incident.
Right.
And I've heard there were other celebrities. I can't remember who it is. Not black ones though. Like, who've had issues with New York, Madison Square Garden specifically. So I wasn't surprised. I was just kind of like, it's not even wasn't even a Knicks game. You know, like, what are we doing? Like, what are we trying to keep this guy away from? You know, so I don't know. It's just,
you know what? It kind of reminded me of what happened with Masai, right? Like, just a black man, just like who you should know, who's important. Yeah. What's the thing? Madison Square Garden should be called Patrick Ewing Garden, because this man, like, when he played for that team, he was the epitome of the team. Like, he was a superstar in his own right. And my thing is that was probably Knicks. So since Patrick, Carmelo maybe, but Patrick is the biggest star they've had since like Ewing. Like, I think he's one of their biggest players they've ever had there since he played in the Square Gardens.
Well, they've had Bernard King and they've had, you know, Clyde the Glide. I mean, I'm talking before Ewing. They've had.
No, I know, but
I'm talking about times where they've won championships. Like, that's the thing.
I know, but I'm saying, but like, since Ewing has been there, who's been bigger than Ewing? Right. No one has, right? So he's their last superstar that's been there. I guess Carmelo, you could put Carmelo up there, but he didn't do much in New York Knicks. But my thing is that the fact that they don't know who Patrick Ewing is a hashtag fail. It's absurdity because who he is. And my thing is that I wonder why they were so aggressive with him. But like, yo, ask him who he is. Ask for his name. Like, who would lie about Patrick Ewing? Like, it's just absurd that the fact that he was accosted like this in New York, where he played for his career. Like, that to me is insanity.
Yeah. Well, that was absurd. I want to say real quick, shout out to Michael Jordan, who gave Patrick Ewing his shot at coaching. At the time Ewing he retired, Jordan was the vice president of basketball operations for the Wizards at the time. Ewing didn't have a gig. He went to Patrick Ewing and said, hey, you know, if you know what you're doing, why don't you come aboard on Washington? We'll just start you as one of our coaching. And if you like it, stay. If not, leave. Ewing liked coaching, and that's what started his career. So shout out to Michael Jordan for giving him that.
I didn't know that. That's
Neither
dope.
did I.
Yeah.
Good,
all right.
Good factoid for him. Good factoid.
I'm just throwing it in there. All right. So let's throw this episode in the books.
Yeah. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, episode 31.
That's right.
So Darrell, thanks so much for coming through. As you know, we love to give our guests a chance to do a shout out, brother. So the floor is yours.
Oh, shout out the Bootcut podcast. I also detail cars. I don't really tell people about that.
Exactly. That's what I knew it was missing from your
Go ahead. Speak on it.
Yeah, no, I detail cars. Coleman Auto Spa at Coleman Auto Spa on Instagram. It was a busy summer.
All right.
Last summer, so I've been like reluctant to really talk about it because I don't want to be. It isn't my full time, but yeah, at Coleman Auto Spa on Instagram, at the Bootcut Podcast on Instagram, and thanks for having me, guys.
Oh no, it's awesome.
No, thanks
Nelly
for coming on. My shout out is to Darrell, y'all. Big up my brethren, my rival in fantasy basketball this year. Woo! Easy Money, that's his team name. No, definitely shout out the Bootcut Podcast. TK, big up yourself, honey. And I want to shout out Beyonce. This girl broke records. She won 28 Grammys. Yeah. That's the most won by any artist ever. Huge. So shout out to my girl Beyonce.
Nice. I'm gonna shout out Darrell. Shout out once again Coleman Auto Spa.
Yes.
Check him out on Instagram. Shout out the Boot Cut. I always want to say boot camp. That boot camp clip, but boot camp clip. Shout out to the Boot Cut podcast.
There you go.
Be sure to take a listen. And we'll throw this episode in the books.
Episode 31, y'all. 31. So you guys know, subscribe, like, and share with a friend.
That's right. Darrell, thanks for coming out once again.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Good Rookies Podcast. And we out. Peace.